It's Wednesday night, and we've been enjoying some explosive League of Legends play here. I'm Jake Superman casting Mori, and co-casting with me this evening is Ben Jahadre Sorensen.
I'm having a blast, Superman. OSU versus University of Utah was amazing to watch. I can't wait to get into our second matchup. That's going to be University of Oregon versus University of Colorado.
Should be a good matchup. We'll get that schedule on your screen so you can see what to expect over the next few days. As you can see, Oregon State just fell in a convincing 0-2 loss to the University of Utah. There's a lot there. And you can see Oregon, Colorado just about to be what you see this evening. To be a best of three, so we'll see which one of those can take their place in the standings. And then, of course, you can see what to expect heading up next week on Monday and, of course, following later in the evening on Monday with more, of course, Mondays and Wednesdays for League of Legends when you can catch it here on Pacific ACG.
Well, we'll see what that means for these two teams coming in here. We'll see if they can make it up in the standings and everything. But with that, why don't we take a look at their lineup, see these players, who they're going to be and what lanes they're going to be running here.
Yeah, so we'll bring that on your screen shortly. We'll get that graphic updated for Colorado in just a moment because they did have a few roster swaps. But at least for Oregon, you can see for University of Oregon, we just watched Oregon State, so a couple of teams from Oregon. But this is University of Oregon. They've got Ragnar the Sexy in the top lane. I like that name. Joe Mickey in the jungle. Vertex in mid with Dapper Dave on AD carry and Jin James on support.
And then opposing them on the red side, you can see Colorado, Bootless Triton, Bot with my support running in the jungle, HH Spanky in the mid, Nidalee One Trick running AD carry. That seems kind of awkward. And Not Tanner in support there with him.
Yeah, a little bit of swap there. I feel like should have been in order for the jungle and AD carry picks with Bot with my support playing jungle. But then Nidalee One Trick is the AD carry. That's a little odd to see there. But
that reminds me of we watched a game not too long ago. We got the cast one with the name of the team was Please Let Me Play Draven.
Yeah.
And then they picked not Draven.
No, they didn't.
And then OG Blitzcrank was their support, and he picked Braum or something like
that.
And it was really disappointing.
It was like relatively tilting to a caster. I was like, come on, your team's name is Let Me Pick Draven, and you don't pick Draven for AD carry. It was left open too.
It was,
It's just a community game you and I were casting together.
It was a
and
lot
then
of
it ends up being OG Blitzcrank playing support. So unlike roles being weird here, it was OG Blitzcrank on support, Blitzcrank available, picks like Braum or something.
Yeah, it was
like,
something.
Come on.
It was silly. It was a lot of fun.
I want to see that. Right, that bottom lane sounds really scary.
It does.
Just
Draven
like
Blitzcrank
playing some casual League of Legends to see Draven Blitzcrank. You get pulled, you're done, and you're like donating a ton of gold.
Oh, for sure. Especially with that passive from Draven getting the extra gold when he gets his stacks of adoration in and everything. And like, how do you get out of that? Grab, knock up, silence, knock aside. That's what, 5 auto attacks from Draven by that point when you have
5
ultimates?
too many.
Yeah, 5 too many for sure.
Any auto attack from Draven will hurt. But
yeah, it's true.
We're waiting the players to just get into their lobby here and get things up for Champion Select. Again, this is going to be a best-of-3 match between University of Colorado and University of Oregon, not to be confused with Oregon State, which we just saw minutes ago.
Right, beavers and ducks. They're completely different.
They both like water, though.
Okay, you know, you're making it easier to get them confused.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, birds and mammals.
What if they go in the river in any of these games? Do they get like a buff?
They should, honestly. I think so.
They all get the water walking rune for like free.
Oh my gosh.
Or it like auto selects it for them. You know, like on the ARAM map, if you try and take Zombie Ward, then it changes it to Poro.
Yeah,
that's true. So, like, if that's the case, do you get auto-swapped to Water Walking if you just happen to be on one of Oregon's teams? But enough with that. We're here into Champion Select, and once again, with a little bit of a delay here for the graphics, we'll get those updated for you for Colorado and for University of Oregon.
Not Oregon State.
No.
Yeah.
Just to mess us all up
I'm
once
pretty
more.
sure that's what it is. We're being trolled by our production team a little bit.
Well, we're trolling each other, too.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
If they get water walking, what do we get as casters?
We would have to get. There's no. I was trying to think. There was an old mastery. It was like something about a shout. And that would have been cool, but there isn't a rune about that anymore.
No, not that comes to mind.
Would it be like Predator because it's a wolf, like howling at everything? Maybe.
This is a little bit more of a stretch. I was going to
Okay.
be very sad if you said Feast, and that was like the first one to come to mind, just because like I started to get hungry just thinking about it, and I was like, no, Feast would be terrible.
No, that would be bad. It wouldn't be good. What if
Taste of Blood sounds scary.
It does sound scary. I don't like that. I don't like that one. Although, from the way certain LCS casters talk, like they want to see the bloody games, they want to see people fighting and all the kills and stuff. Maybe they
Bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
Maybe they get a free Bloodthirster.
All right.
That's a little more broken than just getting like 20 health on 20-second cooldown or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a little broken.
It is a little broken.
I would say Glacial Augment because things are going slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
That'd be good.
That's a little too memey.
It is a little too much. I'd like to see more of a fleet footwork. Okay, you know what? I tried to call it out last time. In the yellow tree, you have press the attack, fleet footwork, and what's the other one?
That's going to be Lethal Tempo.
That's the
attack
one.
Speed one.
Oh my gosh!
Lethal Tempo.
Yeah, I was trying to talk about it because we watched Utah lock in Tristana and Nunu, and I thought that would be really funny to see the Lethal Tempo on Tristana because she already gets really fast attack speed, activating the Q plus a Blood Boil. It would be fun.
It's funny. At that point, you like can't stutter step. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't orb walk, whatever terminology you like to use, because if you do, you actually miss out on possible auto attacks. You kind of just have to stand still and be like, I am a machine gun, and just like take down whatever happens to be in range, whether it's towers, champions, or minions. Like just stand there. And auto attack. Like when, what was it? Almost a year ago, I'm sure. At this point, when Kog'Maw got his own change to be able to max at 5.0 attack speed rather than 2.5, and he would get it on his own without items. It just happened to be like his late game scaling. That was like insane to see videos of people who had like put hours and hours and hours of practice into like trying to stutter step, and it almost looks like they're just like breaking the game.
Yeah,
because they're just like it's like way too much. Don't make me do that again.
You won't be able to have seen it on the camera as well, but that was the coolest little shaking I have ever seen. The headset was moving, your cheeks were all.
That's about as close to a Kog'Maw cosplay as I think I'll ever get, short of like dragging my butt on the ground and being the Pugma, which I could probably pull that off, but I'm not going to do it here on stream, that's for sure.
No. Let's talk about things we want to see. You and I have had the chance to cast a lot of games. We've talked a lot about meta, what's good, what's not, buffs and nerfs and all those kind of things. A lot of what we talk about is the fact that right now you need a lot of good initiation, and you need at least 2 tanks on your team.
Generally speaking, we're still shy of patches that are kind of in the works right now, the upcoming ones, some changes on PBE, that are meant to, as Riot has stated, their development team and the balancing team, they've repeatedly stated, in keeping with what casters have been complaining about in LCS, that generally speaking, games are taking too long, right? They're just, it's farm out to late. You've seen Double Lift complaining about it on Twitter, on his own streams, where he's just saying, on the dive even as a special guest, where they're addressing this problem where it seems that because of stopwatch and gold generation items and just late game scaling, that you essentially try not to dive for 45 minutes and then maybe fight at Baron, and we'll see what happens. And that really doesn't make for great League of Legends, let alone great like spectator sport.
Yeah.
And so they want to make some changes in that regard. But with the current patch we are on, it still kind of is in that state, right? Where you definitely want, as you described, a couple of frontline tanks, initiation tools, so that when you're ready to take those fights, you can and you do. And that's hopefully how you gain your advantages and take the fights and try and win. But up until that point, you just play it safe, farm it out, wait until you get to the point where you have the power spikes from your specific champions in your team composition, kind of like what we saw in the second game for University of Utah versus Oregon State, which was, despite falling behind a little bit early, having some messy fights, as soon as Utah had their item breakpoints, that's when they said, okay, time to fight.
Yeah.
And it worked out for them.
It worked out wonderfully, especially because Swish, out of his mind that game, went 3-0 without finishing the Black Cleaver. Like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Just components.
He had 2 components. He had the Kindle Gem and the Phage, and was solo killing Jace all over the place. And then once he picked up that Cleaver and they started really fighting, because until that point there were a couple little skirmishes here
Yeah.
and there, but then when they started fighting as a team, trying to set him up and everything with that Black Cleaver, it just tore everything to shreds. And by that time, Azir had his Nashor's Tooth. There was the Muramana and the Trinity Force on Ezreal.
Yep.
Everything fell into place right at that. I think it was, what, 22, 3
Yeah,
minutes?
sounds
something like
about
that.
right.
It was late.
Yeah, it was. That's a couple minutes after you want to see those item breakpoints happening, and that was honestly delayed by a couple of hiccups
Yeah.
from University of Utah's play around the mid lane and the jungle near the top lane. But yeah, I mean, beyond Swish's solo play in the 1v1, his late game Gnar was trouncing on people, just so much damage. But here we are into Champion Select. This is University of Colorado versus University of Oregon. They're taking on their very own best of 3 to see which one of these two teams will join University of Utah at the top of those standings for their current region.
Right. First band's coming out here, Vladimir. I think that he is a very strong champion right now, very durable, deals a ton of damage in the team fights. That's kind of what you want him to be doing, one of those fighter mages as opposed to control or high burst. He's meant to be in there and doing consistent damage throughout the fight. And I like the answer there on the other side, Oregon taking out Sejuani. Sejuani, one of the top 3 junglers at the moment. I think it's a good takeaway. Whether Joe Mickey is proficient on it or not, any jungler right now should be able to play Sejuani, and if you don't know how to play against it, I like the ban away.
Yeah, it's important to get champions, regardless of the meta. You definitely want to target ban, scout, make sure that you know what the comfort picks are for the enemy team, as well as knowing by talking amongst yourself before you ever get into a draft, before you decide to play competitively, knowing what the champions are that you struggle against. Because good coaches and good support teams, good support members for a team will help to scout not only what enemies are comfortable playing as, but what they're uncomfortable playing against. What are those 1 or 2 champions that consistently they'll lose lane to or just not be able to handle? And if by chance those happen to fit within your own players' champion pools, even if they're not the top of the list, there's some pocket picks that you can turn to if you feel like that would be a good strategy for your team to go for. But it looks like those bans have come through, the first 3 bans from either side, and if my eyes don't deceive me, that's a lock-in first pick Singed for Colorado.
Your eyes don't deceive you. I see it as well. An interesting choice. I think Singed is a very special champion. I think he has a niche where either you're really good or you're really bad with Singed. And so seeing the confidence there, Ragnar locking that in immediately means that he's, I want to say, very good with the Singed.
It's got to be. He's got to be very comfortable on that champion, because if not, that's a lot of eggs you're throwing into that basket. It is his most played. I'm getting word that it is his most played, and so it's got to be that comfort pick. So you wonder if Oregon just didn't do their due diligence to scout that out and ban it, or they're just not worried about him. They don't think it's that scary.
I think that's why they picked the Gnar, though, because he's got the max health damage on his W, and he's got the range. So anytime Singed gets, close enough to try and flip him, he's already going to be hopping away or throwing the boomerang to kite a little bit. And so I think that was really smart on the side of Oregon to pick the Gnar right into it. But then we see our jungle picks, Zach and Jarvan, up really high on the tier list because they only banned the Sejuani and the Rek'Sai in the jungle pool.
Yeah, and most of those would end up being more comfortable champions for bot support here. Bot with my support is full name. It's just when you ban out that many comfort picks, you kind of just take whatever's left in the meta and hope that you're comfortable enough. So that seems to be what Oregon has done here, but I do like their first 2 picks responding to the Singed. Singed, known for running around and trying to wreak havoc. If you lock him down, which Gnar's already going to kind of do pretty well, but then you make sure he's locked down. If a team fight happens and he's nearby, Cataclysm going to do that for you. If you want to commit that resource to the Singed, you can definitely do that. But if you're going to commit to fights, it's a little scary. Now that you see Colorado picking up their next 2 champions to complete their first draft phase, that's going to be the Zach in the jungle with Galio in mid. And it's, again, I like to remind people, Galio is full AP right now in the current meta. He's not that tanky frontline. He'll build health. He'll build the Abyssal Mask, right? That's a nice health pool, some mana, and relative tankiness from the magic resist, but it's not going to be full tank Galio like you're probably used to seeing in competitive play prior to more recent patches.
And I'm glad that they took that away. Colorado, knowing just the synergy between those three champions, Gnar, J4, and Galio. Just let's think about that for about a moment. Jarvan jumps in and gets the Cataclysm. Say he gets 3 people. Really optimistic there. 2 or 3 people inside. Galio ults, gives him all those resistances, gets the knock-up, suddenly Gnar's there and throws everyone against the wall. That's massive. And so taking that away, I think, was a really good choice from Colorado, and the fact that Galio is a strong laner right now. He has all that damage and is a little bit more durable than most other mid lane mages and everything like that. But I think Corki was a good response there. Someone who can really put out the damage and even outrange him.
It's very comfortable for Corki if he plays smart, plays on the ball, right? He has to make sure that he's paying close attention, because if he's not, the engage potential from the Galio is substantial, and the burst, being able to follow up his own CC with more of it to get good trades off, are nice. But the cool thing about Corki is he can abuse the range versus melee matchup, and if Vertex here on the Galio misses his engage tools, doesn't land the taunt, doesn't land the knock-up, if that's the case, then Spanky on Corki can actually punish him heavily, because now you've not only gap closed and put yourself closer to a damage-dealing Corki, but you haven't traded in the meantime. You're literally just trying to walk away at that point. So while it can, there's insane gank potential for the Galio because he has amazing gank assist to help Zach make sure that they lock down a Corki. Corki's really squishy. If he can get locked down, he's going to fall to that. But if you don't catch the Corki, it's 100% certainty going to be Corki going to DPS you down. So interesting compositions from these two teams. I'll be honest, it looks pretty equal overall.
Yeah, and it's another interesting thing to point out that we don't have any of the likes of Alistar or Braum or anything like that. We have Janna and Karma. It's almost like we're backtracking a little bit back to the end of Season 7 meta, where we're going to be Ardent censoring the 80 carries. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that these picks are very strong. Janna has been said on the dive a few times, and just in opinion in general, is still a very powerful champion, one of the top tier in the support role.
As long as she doesn't get punished, she suffers against poke and getting caught out on her own. If she's in the back of a team fight, you bet she's going to do her job, and she's going to do it better than any other champion can. She's the queen of disengage, the queen of heal. But not if she's dead instantly, because she's a very squishy champion, and if her job is to ward and her team doesn't help her do it, I'm a support main. I know the feeling of trying to reset your team's vision, try and set up for an objective, and then randomly, and sometimes like maddeningly slowly getting caught out, and your team just like can't help you. And then you feel bad because you know you messed up by getting caught out, but there's not much in your champion to help you be able to take those types of fights. But this press the attack could be a lot.
Going in there, popping the summoner heal, and then Varus hit, oh, you know what? He hit the barrier thinking he had the summoner heal, I think is what happened there. And so that's a waste of summoner spell there. Great aggression from Dapper Dave to just press that attack onto Not 10.
Nice wordplay there. As level 2 comes through, that's going to be a flash from the Janna.
Now it is Nidalee One Trick going to try and poke them down. He only has the hail of arrows. That's a flash forward from Dapper Dave. Has to pop his own heal. The exhaust is there. First blood from Dapper Dave, getting that great rend to pick up first blood.
That's what you like to say worth for Dapper Dave. Basically taking a tower hit by mistake for sure, trying to get the Janna, and then turning around and saying, oh, all planned, elaborate baits, and gets himself that first blood. So interesting trades in the bottom lane, a little sloppy for both teams, but it ends up being first blood for the Kalista, and Kalista known for being one of these lane bully snowball champions that can get completely out of hand, but are getting really low. But the same is true of Ragnar the Sexy. He doesn't have flash, he already used the ghost. Nice dodge though.
Yeah, not well placed there from Bot with my support. I think that he should have. It was a reflex thing. You saw him come out of the brush, was expecting some sort of extra movement, either the Ghost, oh no, he doesn't have Flash at all, and so he just tried really hard to predict that. But I don't think there was a reason to. Gnar maybe could have got close enough to put a ward in that brush and see him, but just a little anxious, I think, is what happened there.
Yeah, that's where you want to see the Jarvan quite literally walking at him until it's a guaranteed knockup. Exactly. When he doesn't have Flash, you just have movement speed, you're really healthy as the Jarvan, so you don't mind just walking forward and tanking a little bit of damage in the meantime. So a little bit of a misplay by the Jarvan. It's the beginning of the match, the first match for them, but this could be passive for
close,
but that's not going to be it.
Very close. Looks like Varus does take out that control ward, but there's going to be a good monsoon. Not Tanner going to get really low. Dapper Dave is there. The piercing arrow not quite igniting the blight.
Yeah, there were 3 stacks on him and would have done a ton of damage to him.
Ooh, good Valkyrie. Does still get taunted. Vertex getting the damage reduction, but dealing so much. Just like you were talking about, he's built to deal damage right now, not be a tank. And it's very strong. Those Winds of War have been strong even before that point. When he was full tank Galio, it still hurt. And so not a good thing to get caught in.
Yeah, for certain. And the thing I'm seeing here from Spanky is that he's not respecting that damage by using his Valkyrie to match some of the engage. He's not always getting hit by the taunt, but he's not respecting the charge forward that Galio can get himself in range to deal damage and hit that passive, the punch he has, Justice Punch. When you have all of that together, that combined damage is just massive for a Galio, and knowing with the changes in the preseason, you can't take MR runes or anything like that, and so you're going to have extremely low resist, and of course, as a marksman, low health pool as well, and ultimately, you just don't have the ability to take that kind of damage without getting bullied out of lane. What you saw, he had to recall, and now he's going to miss out on a lot at his turret. Luckily for him, it's a cannon wave. It'll kind of stick there for a little bit longer, but without the package to get back to lane or teleport or something like that, he's going to miss out on some golden experience, unfortunately.
Yeah, he is, and the same thing is going to happen on the bot lane. Look at Nidalee, One Trick, and not Tanner. They can't afford to go back. And an interesting, it looks like it's the first, no, it's just about to come off a cooldown here for Nidalee One Trick. That stopwatch is, there it is. There is our 6 minutes. Jarvan is on his way. They might, no, he's just trying to get the Gromp, but right here, this is the place where they probably need to put their pressure, especially with Dapper Dave being so aggressive. He landed an extra auto attack there.
It's going to be the question for these two teams. Do we want to add additional pressure to a lane that we're winning 2v2, or do we want to focus our efforts elsewhere? Luckily, Jinjin James doesn't actually get...
But this might be it. All he needs is a piercing arrow. That's 3 stacks of blight. Bootless Triton is up, but he has Mega Gnar. He is going to jump, and he's going to wallop. I want to see him ult them away. He doesn't want to get flipped. Oh, instead he flips him into the turret. He's going to take a couple tower shots, but it is not enough. No piercing arrow on the bot lane either to secure those kills.
Yeah, so it's just going to be Gnar falling in the top lane. Nothing quite happening in the bottom lane, but that's going to be a nice knockup.
And there's a summoner heal and a flash burn. Ah, Dapper Dave pulls the Rend right at the last second and picks up a kill. Nice work from the Colorado bot lane.
Yeah, a nice response, honestly, to what was a great setup from Not Tanner on the Johnny. Lands the nice Q into the knockup from Jarvan, and they get him low enough to force out the Summoner heal. That's going to be passive from Zach here. I don't think Spanky can sit around and try and get this kill.
No, because there goes the Justice Punch. A lot of damage. He's trying, though. He gets taunted by Vertex, and Joe Mickey wants to jump in. He has it. He has the ultimate, but it is not enough to save his life. Vertex does pick up the kill on the backside, but HH Spanky making it a 1-for-1.
I'm not sure I like that at all. It ultimately ends up being a favorable question mark 1-for-1 for Colorado, because there is the assist pool that comes into that, so they get slightly more kill, 50% more gold. But you already got the summoner spells from Spanky. You already see that Spanky's been struggling in the 1v1. I think the worst thing you can do is give him any extra gold to scale into the late game devil that a Corki can become. And so it's kind of an awkward choice for Spanky to try and be or to give Spanky gold, even if it means you take his life as well. Because it wasn't like you're going to see Virtus stick around mid longer with that low of health and try and take a turret afterwards or pressure some other neutral objective because you just traded your jungler's life. So it's not a terrible choice, but it's not one I think is a great or necessary one.
No, I agree with you. But then Spanky does have the package and makes it out. Right before Zach goes in, Joe Mickey was there, but now Ragnar and Bootless are fighting. Nidalee One Trick going to get rooted by Karma. He is just not having a good game right now. Does pop the stopwatch.
There's no way.
No, except he does because the engage was botched from Jin James. Does not land the knock-up on a stationary target. That feels bad, man.
Caster curse 120% there. There's zero way that he gets out alive if Colorado plays slightly well. Now, of course, props to them for getting themselves in a situation where they're likely to get a kill.
Right.
Props to them for that. Really nicely played. They're definitely smashing that 2v2, but that's a little embarrassing to just let a free kill walk out. Little awkward. Oh well.
Well, and look at the level disparities here. Gosh, they're forcing flashes literally every time they try and fight. But now Spanky is down there. They don't have a turret to force them back into. Now Dapper Dave is ahead. He's going to go in. Gets hit by the Monsoon. Flashes forward. All they need to do is rend, and Dapper Dave is on a killing spree. Spanky didn't even get close. Galio is now there. They know what's going on. Groot is going to not land onto Tanner. And Bot with my support is there. In jumps Bootless Sinton, but they don't have the fight. There's the jump in with the Justice Punch and the taunt. Everybody is getting hit. Everybody is going to die. Teleport from the top lane means that even Singed is there. That was just massacred in the bot lane jungle for Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, nice stall by Colorado. They kind of get themselves in a hairy situation, and the teleport comes through first from Bootless, and he brings the Meganar, but it times out just before he enters the fight. Can you imagine a 3-man Gnar ultimate into stun with a Galio full health right there with not a lot of damage? He's already got the blasting one. That could have been 3 quick kills going over to Oregon had it just been for an extra second or two on Meganar or less stalling that happened from Colorado. So well played by Colorado to give themselves just enough time to avoid what could have been disaster.
And I think the definition of disaster right now is Kalista, 30 CS up, 4 kills, 0 deaths at almost 11 minutes.
Yeah, and she got the first turret as well. You can see 5,500 gold lead in favor of Colorado, only 11 minutes in. Most of that gold is just here on Kalista. Already completing her first item when they're just a recurve bow, essentially, and Boots won on the Varus to match. So it's not really a question.
It goes so well.
It's not a question at this point as to whether or not Colorado will win the next few fights. It's when.
Right.
Unless Oregon does a dramatic stall that just doesn't seem to happen because there's so many engage tools here for Colorado. They can just run at you, dive you. They've got Singed and Zach and the ultimate that can come through from Kalista. All of those leading up to, of course, the entrance. But Gnar's engage is great here.
But the Let's Bounce gets them out, and Bot with my support is going to go down that last auto attack. Flash, but you can't dodge auto attacks. But now, Nidalee One Trick is dealing a lot of damage there. He wants to throw the piercing arrow. Ragnar is super fast. They don't have a turret. And so he's going to continue farming these minions. Good disengage on the bot side, but Bot with my support going down. He is very behind. And now, Dapper Dave wants some Bootless. He gets the slow from the Blade of the Ruined King. The Q doesn't land. Flash forward from Joe Mickey. Gets the knockback and the stun. Dapper Dave gets 6-0. Ooh, nice summoner heal.
Not
Did he have his,
he had
his
his
passive
passive.
back, didn't he? Okay.
Recombobulate his globlets. You can recombine those together. It would have been better, I think.
Yeah,
the summoner
spell.
Though the revive can be useful for baiting in the future too. They're both about equal. But as you can see, it's now 10-1 with 4,000 gold plus. What is that, 7,000 total? I was mostly looking at the gold. Advantage here for just Kalista is in the range of 4,000. Just looking at her items, looking at the turrets that she's taken. The next time she faces, she's likely picking up a completed secondary item.
Yeah.
With 50 CS up, 6 kills, 2 assists. She's been everywhere, catching more and more people. As you can see, Jarvan getting caught in the jungle. You can see the Corki can't even take these fights anymore. He's running out of mana just trying to trade semi-equally, and he's just going to get dove. Dapper Dave, 80 carry, running straight into a turret, tells you a little bit about this match.
That was beautiful to see that happen. Takes only 1 turret shot, make that 2. Blue turret does go down on the bottom side, but it doesn't matter because there are 4 members of Colorado ready to take this next one. I think you're right. I think Alyssa's going to leave the base with a Hurricane once she backs.
Or more. I would be surprised if she doesn't have more than a completed seal item at this point. Those are cheaper items, 2,600, 2,800 or so. It depends on which one you choose. She just took a couple of turrets and got a couple of kills. It's hard to believe that with her farm on top of it that she wouldn't get an item and a half at least, right? So she hasn't even left yet. She's still pushing forward. Press the attack ballista doing work here. Nice knock up, a little bit of a heal there. But HH Spanky getting down to less than half health, taking more and more poke from that wins the war. There's going to be the Zac in the far away. Misses the elastic slingshot.
But it doesn't matter because Vertex is there. Oh, he is going to be underneath the turret, and Janna picks up the kill. Everyone else ran away. Poor Vertex gets caught in the Cataclysm underneath the turret. Feels bad.
A little bit ahead of themselves at this point. They are massively ahead, 7,000 gold, but you still can't do really, really scary things, like diving without your minions or starting out at half health before fights and trying to take them anyway, using key spills and then trying to take fights anyway without them. That's how you lose a 7,000 gold lead, so I want to see them slowing it down a little bit, being a little bit more methodical, playing around the Callista. She's completed not a Zeal item, but a Wit's End against a team that only has 1 real source of magic damage because there's no real magic damage threat coming out of what would be an on-hit Varus when he's this far behind.
Right.
So there's not really a huge magic damage threat for Colorado anyway, considering that Galio's not at the same level of Fed that you see the Callista. So trying to understand a little bit more of the Wit's End pick here, because normally you wouldn't have Singed with you. You'd see him split pushing, but at this point when you're that far ahead, nitpicking builds doesn't really make that much difference.
Oh, but that might be the kill onto Ragnar. There it is. Bootless does pick that one up, but now Spanky's in a lot of trouble. He just flashes, and Dapper Dave just wants to go in. He throws out the... Oh, he got the rend, flashes in, and does get shut down. Jin Jin is going to be tanking her with the ultimate from Galio. Galio goes in 1v3. I think this might be the throw here. There's a knockup from Janna and the slows. Wins of War down on the ground. Zac is there. He's Italy one trick gets it. There's a knockup onto Joe Mickey. He jumps away, but it's in vision. He's not going to go anywhere. Piercing Arrow is there. Will we see the Zephyr from Not Tanner? There it is. He is knocked into passive form. One of those is under turret. They just need to fight these little bloblets and take him out. And suddenly, we have a huge swing in favor of Oregon.
It might not be enough to make a huge difference, but yeah, Oregon gaining themselves a few thousand gold. They get the shutdown onto an almost legendary Callista, meaning that's a full max value shutdown spread amongst their team, giving bonus gold over, and the last 2 kills were here on Italy one trick. That means he's gonna be able to complete the items that he needs.
Ooh, and a good engage here. Ragnar being really cheeky, thinking he can kill everybody, but the ultimate, those Chains of Corruption from Nidalee one trick stop him, and we see the blight damage. He got several auto attacks on, and then the spells perfectly done there, especially with the red buff, just burning it down.
Need to see a little bit more of what we just saw from Oregon, where they're securing vision. You can see this top side belongs almost entirely to Oregon in terms of vision. If they can keep that up, then they'll be able to rotate through, because it's their side of the map. They'll be able to rotate through faster when Colorado tries to dive so deep and play to that vision advantage, try and get more of these shutdowns, more of these catch potentials that could happen in their own jungle based on Colorado being a little over-aggressive. You're going to have to pick up the Rift Herald.
No, they're
Okay,
sending
we got
Zac
Zac
in there.
I'm like, you can't just walk away. I mean, you get 50 gold, great job. It's going to give you a little bit of an advantage. It's not the same as getting a turret, but...
No, it's not. But then on the opposite side, we do see Jarvan taking out that Windrake, with the help of his team, blue team immediately summons the Rift Herald, wanting to send it. I think that could have been placed a little bit more strategically, and now we have a teleport from Gnar. He is in Mega Gnar form, but only for a second. There's a knockup coming from Jinjin James, and now Joe Mickey is in the fray underneath the turret. The last auto attack does kill Boots over the wall, and it's a 1-for-0 for now. They do take out the Rift Herald in the mid lane. Corki is thrown backward, does get the kill onto Jinjin James, and now Zac goes down. Vortex is in the middle of everybody. He is taunted and cataclysmed. Everybody everywhere is getting hit with so much. I think these fights are so chaotic.
Ends up being a 4-for-2 overall in favor of Oregon. You know, you wonder, how can Colorado throw a 7,000 gold lead? Well, they're writing the textbook on it for you right here. It's being just way too over-aggressive. And, you know, it honestly started out really bad for Oregon with the teleport coming in from Bootless Triton here on the Gnar. He comes in, he does have Mega, but only for like a half second longer. He's saying, ahanga, and then he shows up and they go, I gotcha, because he's the only one who's out of position. He walks into 3, and even flashing over a wall, he ends up dying to the last little damage there from a Callista. But the rest of the fight goes pretty well. Nice cataclysm from Jarvan. Ends up netting them a 4-for-2 overall. So, however this is playing out for Oregon, it's working for their advantage. If this gets to late game, it's actually kind of scary for Colorado, because Colorado's composition is built to engage on you and try and take only specific kinds of fights. You have the Karma, who's not a late game initiating champion. She can shield people, but you can see she's just building to kind of support one person, just the Callista. With the Ardent Sensor, you know that that only really adds value to just Callista. There's not like a Gnar, for example, on their team that can make use of the additional attack speed and on-hit damage. So you're not going to see a lot of mantra'd shields for her team most of the time, I would say. And so it's kind of odd to see this scaling into late for Colorado, because they're not built for it as well as Oregon is, and they're slowly but surely diminishing their own lead. You can see it's only 3,500 or so that's in favor of Colorado, when it used to be approaching 10K.
Right. And I like this setup around the Baron. They know that they have vision priority. Oh no, I think that red ward is out of pink ward range there in the very back. But there's the engage. Let's bounce. Does land onto bot with my support. He is going to get a cataclysm down before dying. Chain of Corruption does hit one, but now Nidalee Windrake needs to flash away. No hit from the Callista ult again. And now Gnar is there. He is going to be flipped back, but he gets a perfect 3-man Gnar. And the flash is burned by Callista. She does go down. Nidalee Windrake goes in. Double kills. There are 3 kills there. Spanky and Nidalee Windrake are nailing this game, doing all of the things right and securing their advantages, chasing Vertex out. Singed isn't going to be doing anything. There's a Valkyrie over the wall for the kill. 15-15 in kills. It's barely a 2,000 gold deficit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, just disaster there. That's where, honestly, Oregon is saying, yes, Ragnar, you are sexy. Thank you for tossing Gnar back into your whole team. He gets a multi-man Gnar ult into multiple stuns, and nice stalling and kiting back there. That's what their team comp is honestly designed to do, is kite back and win these fights. And now, with the majority of the team for Colorado just respawning in their base, why not take the Baron? And that's going to quickly decrease that gold lead even more, bring it up to just about even. It's only 300 gold now that separates these two teams. Oh, can't even stop the base. Sneaks out.
Oh.
We'll have to see if Oregon can not make the same mistake that Colorado has done, where they get overconfident with a couple of fights in their favor and then throw the lead. It's really only a couple hundred gold, which 20+ minutes into a match doesn't make that much of a difference at all. As you can see, what used to be a full item advantage on Callista is now just about a half an item, and you've got the core completed for the Varus. And you can see, he's able to bully out what should be a super tanky jungler. And you can see, nice! Chains of Corruption.
Perfect ult to secure that kill. Giving it over to Spanky, 7 out of the 16 kills. Doing work here. Corki and Varus are destroying this game. They are massively responsible for this comeback.
It was a rough laning phase, honestly, for both of these players. They weren't doing too hot in their 1v1 or 2v2. and fell behind massively early. But now when the team fights have happened in 5v5 situations, or at least multi-man situations, they're playing them stellarly, right? They're playing back and playing only to their advantages, where Spanky, I haven't seen him get caught out. There's only 2 deaths on nearly 1 trick. I believe those were both from laning phase. And since then, he's done nothing but farm back up, catch back up. He's not down 50 anymore. He's getting closer and closer to catching back up to Callista's farm. And now he has approaching similar gold generation as well. Now he's got a turret. It's 2 to 3 in turrets when it used to be a lot different of a story developing here in favor of Colorado. Now, Oregon is setting the tempo.
And it's beautiful to see. Ooh, nice input buffer there, getting out just as Zach lands with the knockup. Bootless does get thrown in, but it's not going to turn into anything. The thing I really want to talk about is I want to see Spanky have a package and not burn it defensively. He's had to do it 3 times. And so if they can keep themselves in this game, they are now ahead in the gold, picking up another Drake. This is the time. Get those items. He just picks up a BF sword, working on that Infinity Edge to go with everything else. It's going to be amazing to see an aggressive package for the first time in this game.
I would like to see it too. When you have Cleanse as a summoner spell, you can play a little bit more aggressively because it gives you that get out of jail free card if you find yourself in a hairy situation. But honestly, the best use of a package can be one that splits up a team fight and forces people to walk across it if they want to be in a better position. You can see, you wanted to see it used aggressively, this might be the time. It is in the sideline. That's a lot of damage. There's going to be a teleport coming through. He almost takes down Vertex, but forced to back off as you're going to see Singed canceling the teleport to try and hold the top wave. So that's going to be another turret, tying it up at 3 to 3 in turrets. Now a 3,000 gold lead, 2.5 really, but just about 3,000 gold lead. Now in favor of Oregon.
Oh, and there's a good wall up into the queue. Toss back. Ragnar is taking a lot of damage from minions. Get Nard into the wall. That's still Baron buff. And now you're going to get hit with the max health damage from the W, but in comes the cavalry. There are 2 other members there. Bootless is going to go down without taking out Ragnar. Nice roam from Colorado to try and get themselves back into this game.
Yeah, rest in peace, Nar. Not really anything you could do once as you said, the cavalry arrives. You're kind of left out in the dust. So unfortunate for him. Almost getting himself a kill. I like that he's playing aggressively, but you need to have a little bit more awareness, a little bit more communication with your team as to where other members could show up from. But this is a nice push. Now they're up in turrets, almost up in kills. It's tied now, but up in turrets, up in gold, and they're setting the tempo. You can see they're the ones in control of vision on the map. They could be the ones to set the tempo for the rest of this match and hopefully net themselves the win for game 1.
I think this is the ultimate underdog story. They were so far behind, but just some quick fights, some good thinking, and some amazing mechanics in play have switched this around entirely. I am loving it. All of the disparities are gone. Varus is only 8 CS, or rather 6 CS down. That's only 1 wave. When before, like you said, he was down 50. And that is amazing. Picking up his second item there, or sorry, he already had the Wit's End, but now just really in this, I am flabbergasted.
Yeah, Colorado doing something special. Again, writing the textbook on how to throw a lead. But they do have the tools, and I want to see them use them. They've got a scary team composition if they play around vision properly. How do you play around? If you're one of these squishy late game carries, like the Corki, like the Varus, even to some degree like the Gnar, who's just built essentially health items, if you get caught out of position like the Gnar kind of did and get baited into a bad fight like what just happened to the Gnar, then you know that you can take down these members. And when you get those fights happening, you have so many more engaged tools on Colorado than you do on Oregon that if you can catch one person, it's a 5v4 situation. You can just force those fights with a numbers advantage and snowball it from there and take the map as best you can at that point. So there you go, baited into a fight, forcing the Valkyrie away. Now you know that if you can get him into doing that again when he doesn't have Valkyrie available, he's screwed. He's gonna get caught and he's gonna die. And when you have a 7-4 Corki off the map, that gives you so much more breathing room as Colorado.
For sure. And so we've been talking a lot about how they've been throwing the game, but let's talk positives. Like you said, Zach is the initiator. He is the longest range gank I'm aware of in the game. And Galio has a fantastically ranged ultimate that gives damage reduction and knocks up in a massive AoE. So if they can set it up, they have a great team fight, like you've been saying. But here it comes, Chains of Corruption. Instant melt there with the Corki damage. And the Varus getting the Blight procs and the knockup with my support. Beautiful play. They got to know something's up, though. That ward is blocked with the control ward, but they take that turret for free. No initiation outside of Zach.
Well, you can't.
Or, sorry, not Zach.
Precisely what I was just talking about was, if you're Colorado, you want to catch someone out so that you have a 5v4 situation. But unfortunately, with lack of vision, then Ragnar walks into multiple members. Yeah, it's going to be the Chain of Corruptions. Why the heck not? You just want to delete someone, so if you can take someone out, you're going to have the 5v4 situation in your favor. And now you can see Gnar here running defense. He's just saying, I'm playing in front of my carries, and they're just going to take the Baron away, despite the respawn coming here for Ragnar.
Did he just flash in? He flashed in to try and get the engage with Ragnar, but they need to turn around and kill him. And now Spanky gets the kill there. Gnar almost gets the stun. Bot with my support jumps in, but the last knockup goes down. But now there's a flash forward, the red buff burning down. Dapper Dave, and that's another kill. That is a 4 for 2, plus they get the Baron. Oregon gonna take this game. 7,000 gold up themselves now.
Yeah, you can see the attack speed coming through here for Nidalee One Trick. He's doing so much damage. Now, he didn't go lethal tempo to go beyond max attack speed, so I don't really want to see him building any more attack speed items. I want to see more either cooldown reduction or like critical strike, or just like survivability with that lifesteal possibly building into a VP or something.
Yeah.
He's got the Janna, so he's got a lot of options. But you can see the damage is just insane there. You saw the Zac trying to flash in to start a fight. One, I disagree with that choice simply because they just got Baron and you didn't start a fight, right? You didn't take the fight at the Baron. They already got it. They're full health, essentially. So why would you want to start that? A little bit of a mistake there. But as you saw, prior to now having a Spectre Scowl in his inventory, he had no magic resist to speak of. And there's so much magic damage that comes from the late game Corki and late game Varus that you're not expecting if you haven't really thought it through, because you think, oh yes, they're both marksmen, they're both building crit chance and attack speed. Isn't that physical damage? No, there's going to be the Blight passive, the Blight on hit that's going to come from Varus, and then of course Corki. The majority of his damage is converted into magic damage from physical, despite it being physical attack damage items that he builds with crit chance, and that's just so much. You can see here, 2 auto attacks. The Sheen procs with critical strikes, Infinity Edge, 1 or 2 more will do it. Yes, almost the 1, just took him straight down, and that's supposed to be one of your tankier members. Again, this is a Galio, mostly just health, but you can see another person getting caught out. There's the Corki damage once again, just so much with the critical strike chance. He's now up to the most CS in the game, second most kills. He's very close behind the Callista, but you know who would win the 1v1 between him and Callista easily.
That was our aggressive Valkyrie. It was slightly off screen, but there it was. Or not Valkyrie, what am I saying? The package use. It was right there. It happened. Now that's the second inhibitor broken, and they're just going to push for the win. They have the wave. And, you know, Galio is gone. Sis is gone. A perfect interrupt there, and he is going to go down. There's a redemption to keep them nice and healthy, but 3 immediate kills for the ace while they go in. Heal up from Janna and just take this game. Oregon. Colorado may write the book on how to throw, but Oregon wrote the book on how to come back. It was amazing.
It hurts.
It does.
It hurts.
It really hurts. I don't know that there's much else to talk about in that game. We said a lot of things while that was going on.
It's so hard to put your finger on precisely what went wrong and when exactly for that throw to happen, because essentially you have Oregon just doing nothing on the map while slowly falling behind to thousands and thousands of gold, and Callista just like running at people. Not a champion you normally see do that.
No.
But so far ahead, items ahead, and then you see Colorado just slipping up one time after another time and trying to maintain their pressure even through losing members in fights. Like, oh, well, Kalista said it's fine. Like, no, it's really
No, it's
not.
not.
It's really, really not. And you lose these team fights over and over again and then lose objectives. And somehow, in a blink of an eye, it feels like what was almost a 10,000 gold lead becomes almost a 10,000 gold deficit in just moments.
Yeah, an amazing turnaround. Fantastic play from Oregon, keeping it cool. I use those words a lot. Keep it cool. Wait for the game. Play. You gotta play the game, whether you lose or not. Play to your strengths. If your strength is waiting it out and team fighting, then wait it out in team fight, and that's what they did.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
One way or the other. Either you're slowing it down to stall the game and come back, or you're slowing it down to make sure that you don't throw the game, that you
Right.
don't make sloppy mistakes, that you don't get caught out, that you don't over-aggress and pay for it.
For sure.
But they paid for it, and that's going to be Colorado falling to Oregon despite being up almost 10,000 early on in the game for a quick 0-1, now in favor of Oregon. So University of Oregon will have to see if they can bring out an 0-2 or 2-0 in their favor
Yeah.
shortly, right after the break. We'll be back with more League of Legends action on the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers right after this break.
There's an evil inside. Just look and wait down below. And if I can't hold my breath, then I'm bound to become hollow. Can you say that I've disappeared? Can you say that I wasn't there for you when you went into hiding on the front steps of your porch? And I reflected on the memories, but I put out that torch. Hey! But I put out that torch. But I put out that torch. You make me feel like home. You turn around, I feel the breeze over me. You watch your dreams unfold. Let it come around and let it breathe over me. It's time to go away into the light. I feel the calming energy. I see the darkness coming, and I'm calling you to help me set me free. I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you.
Welcome back to Week 1, Day 2 of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers League of Legends Spring Tournament. We're a game into our second match of the evening with 1-0 in favor of Oregon, Colorado falling first game. That means in this best of three, this next game could be match point.
Yeah, it could. But let's just jump into the game. Let's
I want to
into
get right
the picks
into
and banes
yes.
to do this. What a crazy game. Not a lot really to analyze on that one, to talk about. Just a really bad throw, and so I want to move right past it and see what adaptations each of these teams make, because they both need it.
Yeah.
They both need it. Bad early game coming out of Oregon, atrocious late game coming out of Colorado, and so we are here into picks and bans. What do you expect to see out of this one?
I have no clue. I'm going to be straight up on. I have no clue what to expect from these players, from these teams, because last game was an absolute clown fiesta from both teams. It was back and forth, yes, but like the seesaw action was the type of seesaw you see like parents worried about their kids playing on in elementary school because one of them's going to get launched into the air across the playground, because that's essentially what we saw happen to the gold lead that Oregon had given over to Colorado. It was like, here you go, and Oregon's like, nah, back to you, back to you, back and forth. These two teams are just like trading those gold leads like crazy.
It really was. It was exactly like that.
A game of ping pong with a massive sack of gold.
Yeah. I want to say that the Morgana ban here has got to be a target ban. Morgana hasn't really been prevalent in higher levels of play, and so I think they're just trying to keep that one away. And then the Curious Sona ban coming here on this side as well. Colorado banned it last game too.
I would expect to see more of the Shield Heal champions. I assume those are what Not Tanner's comfortable on. And then Jin James, of course, picked the Karma last game. These are obviously contested picks at the support level. I imagine Morgana more aimed at the support rather than, say, like a mid.
Right.
And with that in mind, if you recall, Not Tanner was one of the few members of Oregon that wasn't actually just
straight up feeding.
Okay, I wasn't going to say it like that.
My bad.
But
My bad.
No.
I'll take that one.
You're being honest. Yeah, he was one of the few members that was not straight up feeding and being in awkward places at awkward times. Honestly, doing it, I mean, as a support player, I understand the feel of trying to peel for people who just, they seem like they want to die. I do a queue sometimes with a buddy of mine who plays AD carry, and I can't tell you countless times where I've said to him, I say, hey, look, I can save you from a lot, but I can't save you from your own deep-seated desire to hand over 300 gold at a time to an enemy player. So a little bit of that happening, Not Tanner. Decent Janna play. I would love to see that come through again. It worked out well for him. Hopefully his team will play better to that as a strength for their lineup than they did in the previous game. I'll try not to talk so much about the prior game just because it was such a facepalm of a match.
So then let's talk about this. A lot of similar bans. Morgana, Nasus, Tom Kench, all banned by Oregon last game. Sona and Syndra, both banned by Colorado last game. Good stuff. And then changing the draft to get rid of the Varus. The Varus was a problem. I think they underestimated the amount of damage that Blighted Quiver can do, because it did. It was huge.
A ton. Tons of damage. Right? Yeah, coming out from that Varus, the on-hit attack speed and crit chance builds that came out from both Varus and the Corki were doing insane amounts of DPS, able to just melt what should have been a tanky front line from the opposing side, but it ended up not really mattering. They just snowballed out of control in the reverse. So it looks like with the first few picks coming through here, the ban's completed. You can see them on your screen. That's going to be Jin James picking up once again. Going to be that Karma, obviously a comfortable pick for him. And then Dapper Dave going to have this time around, he's going to have that, instead of being able to have the Callista, it's an extremely different play style to play Tristana. So I'll have to see if he adapts accordingly.
Well, I think it would be better for him. I think he was trying to go way too fast on the Callista, the shorter range, the less damage on your auto attacks. I think that Tristana will be a better fit for him. Dealing the full damage, having a more realistic escape instead of just kiting with the martial poise. Instead he'll have the rocket jump. But the more interesting thing is
that assumes he uses rocket jump away.
Oh wait, okay. You know what? You're right.
I'm just pointing out that in the last game he played a champion that has a jump every second and always used it forward. So we'll have to see if the extended rocket jump is used aggressively or defensively.
So then back to my other point. Sorry. Oregon banned Sejuani last game because they didn't want to fight it. But because they're on blue side, they left it open. And Colorado didn't want to ban it either. And so they pick it up. That's a great champion. Especially, we saw what Bot with my support did with the Jarvan. It's going to be I think the Sejuani is a better pick in general. Just not the Cataclysm is awesome, but you can do more and survive more as the Sejuani, in my opinion. So I like that pickup. And then a good safe lane for the bot here for Nidalee, One Trick, and Not Tanner.
Interesting team compositions thus far. I think they're relatively equal this far into the draft. You can see that the last bans have now come through. The Gnar going to get banned out. You don't want to see that again. And finally, the Singe, they say no more of that. That was annoying to deal with. And the Galio, too. So not going to be the same solo lanes for certain here for Colorado. And that's going to be Maokai locked in. I'll be interested to see what they decide to answer that with. Again, likely, if not certainly, going to be the top lane here for Colorado. GP answers.
Okay.
One more pick for Oregon will come through, and we'll have to see what they decide they want for mid. I assume it's not the Ezreal mid.
No.
That's not common.
I don't think that that's how you play this. However, the last game we watched, Best Sniper Africa from Oregon State does play Ezreal a lot. I think that he is their mid laner for sure. Okay, let me rephrase that. He is their mid laner, plays a lot of Ezreal. I'm pretty sure it's still in the mid lane, but I like the Orianna pick.
I do too. They have a team composition that looks built to team fight, which is a better version, I would say, of what they built for themselves last game and that got themselves the win, essentially. This one scales just about as well. Ezreal late game damage is insane. Orianna late game damage is insane. And what else is true of Gangplank?
Yeah.
The same exact thing. His late game damage is insane. Tons of damage, right? And it's I can say that because two of these people built Trinity Force.
Right. And Trinity Force, just that quick extra burst of damage, right? Your spell, your auto attack, it's massive. There's a reason that's the description, and even if you're in the shop and you type tons of, it will bring up Trinity Force.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other item that does. It's a nice little Easter egg that they stick in there. Go ahead and try that at home if you haven't yet. I like that it was chosen as a counter pick. The Gangplank was chosen as a counter pick against the Maokai, and a lot of that is Gangplank has a lot more damage, can be everywhere on the map, quote unquote, because of his ultimate, and he has a way to get out of the roots with his remove scurvy. So I think it's a fantastic pick, and they're going to try and scale just like last game, make it 35, 40 minutes, and then they're going to turn online and win this game.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lot more damage in team fights and in the split push, a lot faster wave clear in a split push from the GP. He can get out of control if left unchecked. And honestly, it's extremely difficult to punish with just these champions. It's extremely difficult to punish the Maokai if Jarvan puts the pressure near the top side. Because despite the impossible level of scaling that GP can have, and very quickly so because he gets the bonus gold, he's very susceptible to early pressure, early ganks. And Maokai, one of the best champions for gank assist.
Yeah.
You point and click, root them in place, and yes, remove scurvy can say, okay, and now I'm ready to go. Eat oranges and BK, but you're actually not okay if Jarvan's right there too to knock you up shortly thereafter. You just wait out the orange or wait until he just dies. One way or the other, it's really easy to punish the very early game of the GP until it gets to the point where he just one-shots waves, he pushes it into the turret, backs off, clears some jungle camps, and then he just gets to the point where he has way too much gold in his inventory.
The one other thing I want to look at is Joe Mickey on the Jarvan. The last time we saw a Jarvan in the... Okay, sorry, not the last, but you and I have casted... This is going to be game number 4 today that we've casted, and we watched a Jarvan rush those Raptors. And
Ouch.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, with the armor nerfs on this patch to Jarvan, in the first rotation of his jungle, those Raptors will eat you alive.
And so I want to see the adaptation to the map changes, to the nerfs, to everything like that with the Jarvan. Hit your buff, hit your other buff, hit the Gromp, and then go to the Wolves. That's going to be the safer of all of any path. And especially on the red side, I think that will... that puts you by your bottom lane. That sets you up to go get the Scuttle Crab and have vision on the Drake. I think that's going to be a much better path for him instead of trying to stop by that Raptor camp. You buy an item and then you go back in and take those because they are worth a lot of gold, a lot of experience. But, adaptations to keep Colorado ahead like that.
Yeah, and I like that Colorado has drafted a lot of go buttons here. The Annie mid, we saw that in the last series.
So good.
It's scary. It didn't end up netting the win, but what it was is that it's just so strong in its ability to just catch you and catch you right, like instantly, right? And if you can do that and get key members like an Ezreal or even like the Orianna, you can burst them down very quickly, these squishy champions, and then there's not as many damage threats. And to be honest, the three main threats of Oregon here are always going to be those squishy builds, short of perhaps Steric's Gauge or something of that nature. For
Gangplank.
The Gangplank is there's not actually going to be that much that will keep the Ezreal, the Orianna, and the Gangplank alive if Annie gets a nice multi-man stun into a full rotation, a full combo of her spells. When that's the case, then you imagine very quickly, and very likely so, the Tristana getting resets after resets after resets. So we're going to load here onto Summoner's Rift. We're now just over a minute and a half. The minions have spawned. This is Game 2 between Oregon and Colorado. This will be Klepto Ezreal with his first ever Q of the game, gets a money bag.
For the win.
Must be nice. I never get that happen to me anymore. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, and the last time we saw Ezreal get the first Q, he grabbed a mana potion. That was weird. And now we see another not in the game item anymore with that little ward. So he's had 2 great Qs in there. One of the key differences here from the last game is the amount of stopwatches. There were only maybe 2 last game. Now there are 4 and 2 minion dematerializers.
Wait, why is there's a minion dematerializer in bronze?
I think that does that proc the relic shield?
If the relic shield has its charge available, yes, then you'll share the gold. It's however you decide that you're going to clear a minion. If you have that charge available, then you're going to share the gold.
There it was.
It's interesting that he chose. It looked like he used it. Correct me if I'm wrong. It looked like he used it on the cannon.
Yep.
But I can't imagine why you need to have a significant amount of bonus damage towards cannon minions unless you like are mad at your teammates for never letting you take them when you can, because like you're going to get bonus execute damage on the relic shield and what it builds into just by having bonus health. And when that's the case, then having the dematerializer is a little weird to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of what it is wanting to share the gold, wanting to just shove the lane. But because Ezreal probably got the biscuit delivery or the free boots wait, you can't have boots and stopwatch, so
Not
he
anymore.
probably has the biscuit delivery. A decent gank here from bot with my support, being in the bot lane like his name suggests. But as I was saying, I think that they're trying to get the push because Tristana naturally pushes. We've seen that a couple times, and it just Tristana will always push underneath the turret, so I think it's just going to be a quick clear strategy to try and get them out from underneath their turret.
Jarvan's here in mid lane. He does get spotted out by the minions. Gonna back off here. A little awkward of a gank path there. He's just looking to try and secure some early jungle vision and look for if he can find this Sejuani. No idea where she is. You see the pings coming out. Nice ward drop. Gonna make sure that he knows, but this is a better gank path. Out of vision. Spanky does get stunned into the knockup. The cleanse happens mid-air. There's going to be the ignite. That will continue to tick because cleanse is already down, but there's enough health remaining. But look who's not healthy. It's going to be both of these players. You can see bot with my support not able to keep up the aggression when Orianna had to back so far off.
And great gank there from Jarvan. Nice timing too. I think that I believe Spanky flashed before the Jarvan knockup and got stunned anyway. I would have liked to have seen is a little bit more heads up on that. Get the cleanse right as you get stunned and have the flash ready for when the knockup comes. But Joe Mickey is still here because there is no flash, there is no cleanse on Spanky. I don't think that Vertex is healthy enough to go in for this, but
honestly,
he is here.
Don't think they have the damage. She's level 5, 60 to 70% health. You definitely have a point in Command Protect at this point. That's going to give you effectively a greater health
and here it is.
amount. There's no stun. There's the knockup. But you can see there's just not enough damage here. All right, the flash in's going to do it, but you can see Annie falls to minions at the backside. Just so long to deal that much damage. There's going to be a 1-for-1 overall. Nicely played there by Spanky, playing it just safe enough and returning spells to be able to trade the damage, get a 1-for-1. It's going to be bonus gold, essentially, for the First Blood, plus assist pool on First Blood. 600 total gold to 300 total gold. So double the total gold goes over here to Colorado, so well played by them. But you can see all of that time setting that up, Annie fell behind in almost double CS.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, especially because Annie has the full mana refund on her Q. There's no reason to not use it to do your last hits. It's got great range, and so it's weird to see all of that. So much aggression coming from the jungler. It's not netting any sort of advantage other than Orianna has died once, but so has your mid laner. And so I'm curious why they're putting their eggs in that basket right there. Joe Mickey now is being followed. Spanky does have his ult. He does cast it. Sejuani is there. Oh, but one more auto attack gets it because it was shot before he dashed out.
Spanked on his way out. He tries to flag and drag away, but that's going to be enough. And you can see Maokai gets a solo kill on the Gangplank. Gangplank, known for having much more early game damage, but you can see the Balmy Cinder was already in the inventory. The teleport had come through, and that's the kind of sticky situation you can see happen in the 1v1's top lane, where if your lane opponent teleports back into the lane and you have not purchased yet, you're at a significant disadvantage because all the gold that's in your inventory is not items. You don't actually have those stats. And so if you're going to take a fight, if they're going to force a fight on you, you're actually really far behind in terms of total off fighting ability. You can see here, this replay, it's just going to be teleport in, level 6, trade in, knock back, and that's going to be a flash forward. Half health Maokai is just going to say, yeah, I'm a big tree. See you, nerd.
Oh, he flashed the barrel.
Yeah, really well played. And being aggro as a tree just makes you worried for this Gangplank. There's a little bit of a misplay from him not to respect the superior base timing, essentially. And that's going to be the turret, likely to fall here, but it is a 3v3 situation. There's no mana available or health now on the Ezreal, so it looks like having Sejuani show up will mean that they do back off. Orianna's on the wing, though. They might fight this anyway.
I think that they should. Flash forward, gets a nice command shockwave. Good stun there. Glacial Fissure up. That's a first kill. Red buff burns down. Double kill in favor of Oregon. Fantastic play. I'm glad they stayed around. That flash forward into the ultimate from Orianna was key.
Yeah, it's definitely bought with my support, gets the double kill there, probably saying to himself, all me. And Orianna's like, what? My. And then they just laugh it off in team comms. Really lighthearted play there. You see them being hyper aggressive in the bottom lane. I like that gank path with Orianna pushing out the Annie. We talked about how Annie, prior to having a lot more items in her inventory, can't really shove anyone out.
Yeah.
Her wave clear comes when she has a massive mana pool, or at least a lot of cooldown reduction. And she doesn't have that yet. The Lost Chapter does a lot for her, but not as much as Orianna can, because all of her spells are area of effect.
And so I wanna ask you about this dematerializer that Annie does have there, but instead we might have to pause for this aggression around the Drake. Bot with my support wants to go in on it, and I think that they're going to set up and take the Drake. No, I think that they're going to just clear out the vision. They see that Tristana placed a ward, and now they're just going to back out. Good choice. But what I was going to say is...
Well, there could be a counter gank here.
He went just for the slow. No ultimate yet on Orianna. But they do see Not Tanner coming up the river. They're being really careful.
Ooh, Jarvan in a weird position.
Ultimate is almost up. Looks like Sejuani's in the wings as well. Winter's Bite does not land onto Joe Mickey. Karma Q does hit Nidalee one trick. And here's the rocket jump forward. Buster shot to knock him out, but Dapper Dave, no last auto attack from Not Tanner. He wants to make sure that they don't get caught by the jungler there.
Just look at the item differential, though, between Tristana and the Ezreal. It's a 20-some-odd CS lead. The BF sword plus the pickaxe is going to do a lot more for you than a Sheen. A Sheen is pretty strong, don't get me wrong, but it is going to be a massive advantage for the Tristana. She's not afraid to just jump on you, and she knows where everyone else is on the map. This is going to be Infernal started up. You can see the nice pink ward there, blocking the vision. This could be the first Infernal Dragon going straight on over to Colorado. GP ult not quite on it, but Sejuani gets in there and steals it away.
The ultimate from Gangplank is dealing a lot of damage, and then suddenly Spanky gets the command shockwave. Double kill for Orianna, gonna be 3 as Vertex does go down after taking down bot with my support. So, Drake captured and the fight won. Oregon are, this is not the Clown Fiesta that the last game was. This is controlled and concise, and Oregon is doing much better this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about this Orianna. Spanky doing a really nice job here. You can see Italy one trick. I guess we're checking his cooldown reduction. It's at 15%. That tells you what rune he's taking, and that he's just trying to stack that up. As soon as he can complete his core build, despite being down in gold, he'll be relevant. He'll be relevant because it's going to take a while before Tristana can complete that Infinity Edge, especially with more like crit chance on top of it. Because once you complete an Infinity Edge, you might be a little strong, but you're not as strong as you would hope, because without additional attack speed and crit chance, you can't guarantee that your crits are going to make that much of a difference. And if you don't crit, it's really just an 80 damage item.
Yeah.
With nothing else. Whereas Trinity Force or Muramana, those are guaranteed damage at a certain level that you can count on. And so you don't have to rely on crit chance early, and you don't have to rely on those multipliers. So it can be a little awkward if you get the Infinity Edge completion and you feel bad because you don't get the crits you're hoping for. Honestly, Colorado's in a position where that's where they have to be, where they need extra help. They need that critical strike chance to come through. They need to make sure that Tristana is just as relevant as she needs to be for these team fights, because their composition's built to team fight. And this Orianna, you can see, she's a
wow. So much damage. And what I wanted to talk about before was the Dematerializer on Vertex hasn't been used. Why wouldn't you use that when you saw Orianna roaming to the bot side and you had full pressure on the mid turret? That's what she pushed it, has 0 damage on it, lost her own, but using that Dematerializer would have got you to push a little bit faster. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for Baron minions? Does that count?
I'm going to go ahead and call it as a misclick in the runes.
Okay.
That's my explanation. You're used to taking, I'd have to look at the graphic, actually pull it up on like a League of Legends plant to see if it's true. But I imagine you're doing like runes really fast, and maybe because you're used to taking boots and stopwatch, then you select it accidentally. But
the Gangplank ult, but a good heal from Jin James. I like that explanation, but I like that fight even more. Great disengage from Knot, Tanner, and Bootless Brinton. Oh man, they're landing everything. Joe Mickey gets ignited. One more auto attack. Literally one trick is there. The ultimate from Sejuani doesn't land on anybody, but it zones all of them. Colorado needs to run away. That are 4 members of Oregon ready to destroy this turret.
Nidalee one trick. You can tell he used to be a Nidalee one trick when he lands skill shots that accurately. Man. Really nice Ezreal play there. I like that champion a lot myself, so it's fun to watch someone play it so cleanly. That spell rotation there was perfect. Landing perfectly timed auto attacks with the Sheen procs to boot. It's a nice play there. Secures himself a kill, and if I'm not mistaken, gets himself a pair of double buffs to keep himself faster, stacking up that tier to try and push this advantage that he's now catching up in farm, trying to catch up to this Tristana and be as relevant and as scary, really, as this Orianna is in mid lane.
And fantastic change from Oregon. Their early game last time was the problem. It is not the problem this time, but now we do see Spanky there flashing the Cataclysm. That is my least favorite interaction with Jarvan. I play Jarvan every once in a while, and it is the most frustrating thing to have your ult flashed.
Yeah, luckily the cooldown will come back up long before Flash does, and it looks like Maokai looked to be joining his team, but he kind of got caught in a bad situation. His ult's already used. That's going to be a nice stun. We'll see. Is it going to be? All right, so it's Tanner's turn to say, all me. I 1v1'd. You guys just, hit one. You guys healed me or something. That's how you got the assist. All me. It's going to be 1 kill here onto the Braum, 1-0 and 6. Nice kill participation, 7 out of 9. It's going to give him up there in the 80s of percents, and so it's really nice play there. From each one of these members, it looks like most of them...
Oh,
okay.
except for that sombrero.
Caster's Curse has hit once again here.
That was fantastic.
As I say, clean play from all these members as Spanky decides to spank himself.
Yeah.
Can't really blame him for it, you know. It is Valentine's Day, after all.
Oh, my gosh.
The replay.
There was a replay on
just in case you missed it at home, we want you to know that the most fed, best playing member here, Spanky, 4-1 and 4, decides Ultimate's, you know, who needs it? Honestly.
That's the 3rd time we've seen that. I love it. It's so much fun.
Double replay.
Double replay is so good. But now, 6,000 gold ahead, 6 kills ahead, 3 turrets to 1. Oregon has really taken this game by storm. And we can even see the CS wins here. Top lane, jungle, mid. It's getting out of control at this point. What can Colorado do now? They have their tanky initiation with Ragnar and Joe Mickey on the Maokai and Jarvan respectively, but it doesn't seem like they have damage to win any fights.
No, they don't. One of the biggest problems they're facing is that they just don't have the push priority. They can't really shove something out and rotate to set a trap for people or anything like that, because the one way back into this is to have Annie with multiple other members of your team sitting in a brush waiting for a ill-advised rotation from Oregon and just deleting someone instantly, or multiple people instantly, because you have the damage to do it. You're not so far behind that you can't actually kill an enemy champion, but you're going to have to take them by surprise. And so if you're always stuck at your turrets, you obviously can't rotate or create vision and deny vision. So that's kind of the struggle here for Colorado. But if last game was, yeah, feels good, right?
It feels really good to see that the whole wave.
If last game was any indicator, thank you, then it's entirely possible for a massive gold lead to be thrown.
Oh, and there's the Cataclysm down onto Nidalee One Trick. Gangplank ults into the middle of the fight. It looks like Braum will die, but Sejuani is still alive. There's the ultimate we needed to see from Spanky, getting 3 members with that command shockwave. Vertex is going to go down because eating oranges and being caged. Flash forward, Nidalee One Trick picks up another kill, and the stopwatch ace in favor of Oregon. That was the fight. Beautiful play here coming out of Oregon. These Ducks showing exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, really nice play. They're finally pressing their advantage. They're now up to that infamous 10K gold lead. We'll see if it gets deleted in the reverse like last game. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this one plays out. If this does continue to go in Oregon's favor, that's going to be a 2-0. Colorado won't have another chance to bring this back to try and perform as they did in the early game. We would have jumped here. But, okay, so a quick replay, just in case you didn't see the turret die.
Yeah.
Being a little bit of a troll happen here.
Yeah.
But, as I was saying, Colorado did play cleanly in the early game, as we saw before in Game 1. That shows you they're capable of doing it. They're capable of making the right plays, given the right resources. Right now, they're just down resources and need to make the correct plays. Ooh, this could be a sneaky Baron. Out of vision, there's not a response here from Oregon. There is Rift Herald.
Hanging out with the Krugs.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, they're probably cousins.
I can see that.
Family reunion there. They do get spotted out. They've already got it down to half health, too. This is possible that this could happen. Here comes the Ezreal. It's going to kind of leash, but my
But then
goodness.
Orianna lands the shockwave. She is going to be tanky with her shield. That is a 2 for 0 so far. Vertex is going to be the next to go. There is the ultimate from Ragnar, but it's not going to stop anything. Baron didn't get a chance to reset and heal. 1,300 health, 1,000 health, 400 health, and that is a Baron in favor of Oregon. It's just playing that fight beautifully.
Yeah, spanked once again here by the Orianna. Nice ultimate usage. I mean, honestly, at this point, with those ultimates doing so much, I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that Spanky, his sombrero, was just a stack ultimate hat. There was no one nearby.
You know what?
He's like, look,
That's
I
right.
need a couple extra percent CDR. I might need it 4 seconds earlier. Who knows? And he had it right when he needed it right then. So you know what? 5 5D chess happening here on your screen. Spanky for Oregon, playing just clean.
Cataclysm goes down, but so does the Cannon Barrage. There's a kill for Bootless, and now everyone is trying to stop Oregon from getting in here. That was all the fight was going to be, but now their inhibitor's down. Shelly helped take down the entire bot side of the map. Their ultimate there, I don't know that Colorado can come back from this. Great little trick there with the Rift Herald, summoning it without putting it in a lane, and then when you're ready to shove it, you go and aggro the Krugs.
That's like 5D chess.
Yeah.
They're all grandmasters at 5D chess. I'm convinced at this point. They lull Colorado into a false sense of security game 1, convince them that it's impossible for Oregon to win. And then you see what they've done here in game 2. The mind games are so incredibly mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That I can't handle it. My brain is actually melting from watching this League of Legends.
And this is what we wanted to see, right? We said we needed to see adaptations. We needed to see changes, and Oregon is the team that did it. They drafted a better team comp. They got better early game. They played amazingly well in the early game as compared to the last. They still have Baron minions. There's an ultimate coming out from Ezreal to stop any sort of engage, but now Maokai is in all alone. Here is the team fight. Annie is dead. Glacial Fissure goes out. Now Maokai is going to be next. Jarvan jumps in, maybe getting a kill, but he is crowd controlled to death, and double kill for Sejuani there. And here comes the last turret. Ezreal keeping people on the fountain, just playing a little games here with the Maokai, dealing no damage, but it doesn't matter because Oregon is going to win this game. They dive in, they killed the Karma with the ultimate from Orianna, and what a way to close that match. Congratulations to the University of Oregon for their victories here today. Wow. Completely different from game number 1. Is that the same team?
It's got to be.
It has to be.
They were playing the same summoner names. And they were able to get a 10K gold lead at some point. So those are definitely two patterns I can track between those two games. Okay, but honestly, if 10K won't do it for you, how about 20K?
Yeah, they got
like,
really far
we see
ahead.
your 10K gold lead, and we raise you 20. And they win. That was actually disgusting.
Honestly, it was. It was a complete flip from what we saw last game. They had a great team fight. They played super safe. Gangplank was able to get assists from across the entire map. Sejuani had great engages. And what happened with Orianna? Spanky just popping off that game. I think he only died once.
If that.
Yeah.
Probably died at some point. But, oh, the first blood. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it then.
Did not die the rest
Just
of the time.
dying under your turret while trading 1-for-1, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
Really well in a 1v2. And then from then on, stacking ultimate hat.
That was
clean.
One of the funniest things I've seen was stacking that ultimate hat. Very, very funny.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well be Zillion. You can see in the future. He's saying, I don't need this right now. Why didn't 2% extra CDR? I'll take it. Worth. Right. And his team is like, yes. And that's why the observers gave us the replay, because they wanted to make sure we understood. 3 times they had to show us.
Were telling
and it
us.
Still took me minutes to understand. Man,
yeah.
I'm behind the times, clearly. But before we want to go for the end of the evening, we wanted to thank all the volunteers, the observers, of course, doing a great job there. Help put this together as a tournament and a broadcast, of course, for you guys to watch. So in case you're unaware, this tournament is happening without any official involvement from most of the schools. And so all the staff running this and really running everything is volunteer. So shout out to all of them. Shout out to all of you guys who have joined us to watch. We love having you alongside. Keep it up in that Twitch chat. We love seeing your comments. Subscribing to this channel, of course, helps as well. It ensures that this tournament runs smoothly as possible and allows us to do more of this stuff in the future. And don't forget, we'll be streaming Hearthstone tomorrow and Rocket League on Friday. Both starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on twitch.tv/PacificACG. And that you can follow the PACG on Twitter and Facebook by the same handle, PacificACG. Yeah, check that out. And if League of Legends is your jam, then the PACG League of Legends returns on Monday at that standard time. Until next time, my name's Jake Superman Mori, and you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch by the handle Superman Casting, and check out my website at supermancasting.com.
And I'm Benju Hadre Sorensen. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at that handle. Talk to me. I love talking to people and connecting with my fans.
And that's going to do it for us here live at the historic Einar Nielsen Fieldhouse at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night and game on.